Welcome back. Marghanita Hughes is an educator, artist, author, and illustrator deeply committed to reuniting children with the natural world through art. Her website celebrates creativity and the interconnectedness that we have with one another and all living things. Unfortunately, Marghanita is unable to attend today due to a family matter, but she has recorded a video and she would like you to know that she's happy and available to answer any questions and discuss any topic via email. Enjoy the video.
Warm welcome from British Columbia here in Canada. I feel very honoured to be part of this amazing conference. I would like to acknowledge the land that I work and live on are the traditional unceded territory of the Lukwigan people. So how can we reawaken our connection to nature through art? Well, we can begin by asking questions like what is our personal relationship with nature and with the natural world? How do we see nature? Do we see ourselves as part of nature, or is it something we go to rather than we are part of? How do we feel about the arts? Do we see ourselves as an artist, or maybe as creators rather than an artist? When we reflect on these questions, we can form a clearer picture of who we are as educators and how we present both nature and the arts to our students. Nature-connected children need nature-connected educators. I believe we're all highly creative, soulful beings, deeply connected to the natural world. Nature and art are interwoven, and they are very much part of us. By working on our own personal relationship with nature and the arts, we not only enrich our lives, we pave a way to providing quality art processes and nature-based art experiences for our students that nurture the whole child, the body, the mind, and the spirit. And the heart and spirit seem to be neglected in education. Where to begin? Well, nature is always inviting us to play, explore, imagine, and create. And nature has this magical way of making us feel happier, and it definitely does make us healthier just by spending 20 minutes among the trees. Boosts our immune system. When we're outdoors, like in our outdoor classroom, our whole senses are being stimulated, which makes us very alert, and that makes us much more attentive to processing and learning and taking things on board. So as the educator, just dedicating some time to go outside and be among nature and allow it to do its wonders on you. And the more we spend time in nature, we begin to realize that we are part of nature. We slow down, we begin to observe, we can notice the small things. Just now it's autumn, and we in our classroom we follow the seasons because we're outdoors, and we can notice the seasons changing. Right now the insects are slowing down. You can see they're very slow, and they're not the buzzy bees that they used to be, and so we can slow down too. We can take our influence from nature and just begin to slow down a bit. Another good thing for educators is to start a nature journal. So when you're outdoors, make some notes of how you're feeling. What are your feelings? How are you feeling about the birds' song? How does it make you feel? How does it feel when you go barefoot? It's so grounding, and it's so peaceful. So it's writing down these feelings and emotions and thoughts that you get when you're out in nature, so that when you come to thinking up ideas on how to connect your students with the natural world, you can share what you've experienced. like walking barefoot, like stopping and listening to the bird song, the beautiful bird song. How might we paint this beautiful music? That's a beautiful investigation through the arts, and I've given you a link to my workshop on painting birdsong, which is a wonderful art experience for any age group. So it's seeing the world with fresh eyes, the eyes of a child. How about creating a fairy home or building a den and collect some rocks and unlock those hidden stories with your imagination? You know, children do this naturally. They can imagine the rock being a ladybug or a monster, and their imaginations are just fantastic. And we have that too. We've just not put it to work. It's lying dormant there because we're not going out and playing and exploring. And as adults, we need to do more of that. We need to be that child again. Actually, most adults have forgotten how to just be, to be in the moment, fully present, to play, to wonder, to explore and experiment. And that's what art is all about. It's very much like play. It's about exploring and experimenting. So we need to connect with nature and ourselves, and in doing so we spark our imaginations, our curiosity, and our creative juices flow. And this newfound love and joy of creating filters through to the work that we do with our students. To quote Rachel Carson, if children are to keep alive the inborn sense of wonder, they need the companionship of at least one adult who can share it, rediscover with them the joy, the excitement, and the mystery of the world we live in. Childhood is indeed a time of wonder, a time to explore the natural world through our senses. And in our outdoor classroom, we learn alongside nature, following the seasons. A birth of autumn has arrived and we notice the changes in the trees. We too are going through changes, and that's very powerful to allow Mother Nature to be our teacher. Here she is, she's these silver birches, the trees leaves are turning into this golden glow of ambers and oranges and lemons, all these beautiful golden colours of the autumn. And how do we paint that? How would we go about that? So it's exploring, allowing Mother Nature to be our teacher. And this is a beautiful starting point for our students to discuss what changes they have experienced. You know, through this pandemic, we've had to go through so many changes. And not just the children, the adults, everyone has. And it's really important to discuss our feelings and thoughts and emotions, and art allows us to do this. Art is a language, it's a very powerful language. So exploring our thoughts and ideas and taking our inspiration from the natural world, such as the trees. Everywhere you look, whether you are in a city or out in the country, there is inspiration for wonderful art explorations, processes and crafts for all ideas. So art, what does it mean? What is art? It's such a big question, isn't it? And I drew a little illustration which you can see on the screen, and that just covers a few of the things that art actually is, and it's different for so many different people. But we know it's a language. We know that it's very therapeutic. And you can see art is fundamental to a child's growth and health and well-being. And combined with nature, it is an incredibly powerful, joyful experience, and it brings harmony and balance back into our lives. Nature art becomes an extension of our language, and through explorations and discovery, these nature-based art activities awaken the children's senses, their minds, their hearts, and help us to express our feelings, ideas, thoughts and urges, enabling children to better understand more about themselves, their environment and the connection with nature and one another in ways that are fun and encourage them to explore and celebrate their unique sense of creativity, because every child is unique and they have their own art style. They are only able to discover that through exploring and playing with different art mediums, art materials, and combining the nature and the art is just such a beautiful, joy-filled experience for the students. We can learn so much through our expressions of creativity. Activities in the arts are a beautiful, organic, natural way for children to be creative and learn more about themselves, their environment and their perspectives, and form relationships. Relationships are so important. It's all about relationships. Form relationships with each other, with the environment, with the materials they're working and playing with, relationship with you, the educator, and incorporating music and dance and nature-based visual arts throughout our day provide our students with joyful experiences that nurture the whole child, the body, the mind, the heart and the spirit. So they're beneficial for social and emotional development. And we're invited every day by Mother Nature to go and experience and explore her art exhibitions in her outdoor art gallery, sunsets, sunrises, just the beauty of one single leaf, the intricate detail in a single leaf is fascinating. You take a magnifying glass and go deeper, and it's going into that appreciation of just the simple things like a leaf, and how we can focus in on the detail, and the infinite possibilities that even just one leaf, I was going to say one single tree, but even a leaf offers so much exploration. How can we not be inspired by the colours of the autumn leaves, or the raging waterfall, or the beautiful bird song, the poetry of the land? And sharing our stories through art can help us navigate through our emotions. Let's take a look at storytelling with stick people. I do a lot of storytelling, and stick people are just a great way for students and adults to explore a little bit about who am I. I've provided a link to one of my first modules that you can work through on who am I as the educator, and we use our stick person to represent ourselves and explore a bit deeper our thoughts and ideas on nature and how we feel about nature and the arts. And then when we've created this stick person, creating a little story with it, and then you can, what you've learned and experienced, bring that to your students. It's a very powerful process, lovely, wonderful art processes, and that's when we talk about how important art product is as well. So the power of storytelling with nature, with these stick beings, again it brings you back to the significance of the tree, each stick beginning their life as a tree, and now the child is creating their very own story, sharing many languages, an engaged imagination. So this is powerful. It's when product can be as powerful as the creative process. I think they're equally powerful and can work so organically, beautifully together, flowing from one to the other. The example of the stick person, we've created a product which now leads to more creative play. It's like a dance, a movement so beautiful and organically flowing freely, spontaneously, as play should. Creativity too is organic in its making. We're down at the lakeshore. I'm seeing a scene of the lake and the mountains, and she was using pastels, and she'd taken down her little stick people again. This time they were a bit longer, but she'd made them exactly the same way, using the potato peeler to create their faces. And she had, I think, about 5 of them with her, creating her painting using pastels. And then she took, which was wonderful, one of the stick people and decided to put the pastel onto the base of the stick person and press down onto her paper. And she noticed straight away that she got this print. She'd remembered the printing. And so she continued with all the different colours, creating the impressions onto the paper. And she was fascinated by this, and she continued it over and over again with the different stick people and the different colours, and she was just absorbed fully in this process. And she just kept going and going until the whole piece of paper was covered with this beautiful print. And it was lovely to see that she'd remembered that process, and it come out in this beautiful piece of art that she created down at the lake, and with a different medium as well. Yes, the process gives us the most joy, and it does. But we can also create something as long as the children have that freedom to choose the natural materials that they want to use in order to create this little stick being. And so by allowing them to have that freedom, they own that journey, and that's where the most joy is given and created. And then when they have these little stick people, as you'll see from the video, that the children just get so excited, they want to play. They want to play and experience and explore with their little being that they've just created. And they can open up conversations. It's another form of being able to open up that conversation. The children can use their little tree being to express their feelings and emotions, and it's also helpful for us adults to recognize and express our feelings during these times. And ask, well, how are we feeling today? And maybe sometimes we can feel a little sad or a little anxious or a little concerned about something. So it opens up conversation and dialogue. We are a community. Let us celebrate our uniqueness and our interconnectedness. And that's what we do with the stick people too. We're all unique, right? So when we're creating our stick person, we can see how different we are. Even if we're using similar materials, not one child's stick person is going to look like the others, because it's their unique own individual thoughts and ideas that have gone into constructing this little being. We are part of the earth community, and that's why I loved the stick people. When I began creating them, there were these wee individual ones that I created myself, and then I started sharing it, and the children just loved to create these little beings. They wouldn't just stop at one, they'd create 4 or 5. They had constructed these amazing creatures with these simple natural materials, such as this stick and some twine, and they went and hunted and gathered for their branch. And that's really important as well, is the fact that the children get to own this journey by really, when they go out and hunt and gather for the natural materials, it's their choice what they want to pick up. It's their choice of stick. They're forming a relationship with this branch, this stick, so there's a connection. So we say thank you for all these beautiful gifts that we get from Mother Nature, the fallen branches, the feathers, the rocks and pebbles. And we only take what we need. And usually when we're in our forest class, we actually just create in the forest and leave it in the forest. But I know sometimes we can't do that, we can't get into a forest, so we bring some of the natural materials into the classroom. So it's asking questions, what art processes and nature-based art experiences could you provide for your students? So we'll look at process-focused art experiences, bringing the outside inside. So it's great to explore and experiment with these materials first, and then you can take what you've learned and experienced and share with your students in the classroom. We're going to look at charcoal and berries, and we know that autumn's in the air, when we see the berries changing that lovely dark rich colour that they go. And we also know that the bears will arrive to eat and feast up on these before they go into hibernation here in BC. And so we decided we would investigate the berries and how they would make some kind of paint with them. And we also incorporated the bears. And this, of course, will lead on to an exploration into hibernation for next month, this month now that we're in October, because the bears go into hibernation. What else hibernates at this time of year? So it's beautiful following the seasons and allowing Mother Nature to teach us some of her magic. We're exploring some natural materials we can find in nature, such as blackberries, and this can be our paint. And we're going to use natural paint brushes, charcoal, which we create in a fire. So these are all found in nature. It's just beautiful. Check out this amazing color. Ooh. Now for the children, just to dab their fingers in this, it's such a sensory experience. It's beautiful. Like finger paint, you can take our actual brush and move it around. What happens when we take our brush for a walk, a swirl? Ooh. What about adding some charcoal? Now charcoal, we can get a line, and then if we snap it and make a shorter stumpy one, we can get a much broader line, a thicker line. Aren't they beautiful, these colors together? And then what I love about charcoal is what happens if you put your finger and rub. Look what happens. Isn't that beautiful? And it's just playing and experimenting with the color and the berries and the charcoal. And it's very messy. That's all part of it. Ooh, look at that color. It's very different. It's got a lot more red in it. Oh, beautiful. Starting with the charcoal this time, I'm just creating shape. It's when we smudge them together using our finger. Get a much fainter one, stronger one. Ooh, I like that. Here. Ooh. And that's quite a red one. Let's see if I can get a purpley one beside it. Oh yeah, that's very watery. Watercolor brush, and I'm going to dip that in. Using your fingers, using brushes, using wood, and just playing and wondering and exploring what can happen when we mix these together. Have a go. So this one we've seen a lot of black bears and they're feasting on the berries, and that's what really how this idea came about, was seeing the bears and just working with this beautiful berry color. To create our bear. So the more time they play with the materials, we can then invite them to actually create a painting or a picture using these beautiful art materials from the natural world, and for them to create their art because they've built their confidence up. So this is Conte. As I mentioned before, we've got two different shades of Conte here. Again, it's the charcoal and clay mixed together. Brilliant sticks, very chunky, good for small hands as well. So we're taking, again, we looked at the child as a tree. Here is a fallen branch that's fallen into the water and is now a piece of driftwood. I love working with driftwood. It's light, it's smooth, it's beautiful. But it can just be a fallen branch that you can use. We're looking at natural items that we can trace round to play with. So we're taking our piece of driftwood and we're taking our Conti stick and we're just tracing around this shape. A rock or a pebble, beautiful and smooth, again allowing the child to play and explore and experiment with these natural items, playing and exploring with the shapes. Now with the Conti, you're taking your finger and you're getting that beautiful texture. What happens when you smudge it? Wow, look what happens. We're taking the berry juice again with our finger and adding it as our paint. Now again, you can use your brush. So that was using my beautiful crushed berry. Even if we cannot get the children, the students out into the natural world to collect their own items, when we do bring and we as the educator have to go and collect them, it's really important to allow the children to choose their own. So by spreading, say it's the sticks and the pebbles, spreading them out in the middle of the floor and taking each one to come up and choose their own special one. Giving them that freedom to choose it rather than handing them the stick. This is your stick, this is the pebble. It's a little bit of ownership by choosing it themselves. Whenever possible, do try and get out into nature and do land art. Andy Goldsworthy is a beautiful land artist, and he quotes, "We often forget that we are nature. Nature is not something separate from us." So when we say that we have lost our connection to nature, we've lost our connection to ourselves. So it's reconnecting with ourselves when we're doing this beautiful nature art. And I believe that art, especially nature art, can truly help us rediscover that connection. Children instinctively know of this connection. It's part of us. We are part of the natural community. And when we provide time for children to interact with nature through these creative explorations, they undoubtedly gain a better understanding of that connection. So we're going to create a mandala on the earth. This was in a beautiful forest, and the pine needles had shed very early on because we'd had such a big heat wave, and the pine needles had come down onto this dark, rich earth, creating this beautiful pine needled canvas, a brand new canvas. So when you took a stick to create some art, you could see the rich dark earth underneath, just absolutely beautiful. So a great canvas to play on. And again, just while I remember, snow is another brand new white canvas for us to play on. So every season brings this brilliant new canvas to work and play on outdoors. So what we can't get out into nature, so we do it in the classroom. Now here's another alternative. We're using beautiful coffee granules to create the earth, lemons and oranges, and peel to create the beautiful bits and pieces, the loose parts for making the mandala. And of course you can use these for storytelling, and so many infinite possibilities for using. And when we're using oranges and lemons and limes and all these citric fruits, it just makes your brain work differently. It alerts it, and it's just this amazing multi-sensory experience to create these mandalas with the citric fruits. So creating art in nature evokes joy, sparks imagination and laughter, awe and wonder, love, peace, contentment and enthusiasm. It's amazingly beautiful, and it's so good for us. It's so good for our health. And nature is everywhere and relevant. One single tree provides infinite possibilities for playful learning. We can never be whole, balanced and in harmony unless every part of us is healthy. The body, the mind, heart and spirit. The heart and spirit need to be recognized, nourished and encouraged. The imagination needs space and seeds to wander, to nurture, and the body needs fresh air and exercise. Outdoor classrooms nurture the whole child, the body, the mind, the heart and spirit. So it's all about combining nature and art in ways that provide opportunities for students' curiosity to engage their minds, their imaginations to take flight, and their creativity to blossom and flourish, gifting great joy in expressing their ideas, their thoughts and emotions through playful, creative adventures. So when we're thinking about what process we're going to do or what activity we're going to do, keep thinking, questioning, what is it they're going to be experiencing? So good quality art experiences. When your heart is fully awakened, you hear the music, the poetry, the love, the invitation to dance with nature. And when you do, the music, the love, the beauty seeps into every part of your being. And how can you not feel inspired to create? It's an organic flow of love and of spirit. And I think the more time you as an educator, as the adult, as the parent spend in nature, immersed in nature, playing with materials, and then exploring and experimenting with art materials, whether it's the pastels, the inks, the clay, you too will feel that excitement, that joy, and that will filter through into the work that you do with your students. So what else can we do? Well, we can go where the wild things are. We can go on field trips, and we can take advantage of our local environment. Like I said, one single tree. There's bound to be one single tree where you live or where you work. There's the buddy systems with the older school children. That's a wonderful one for the stick people. We have the younger ones, the older ones, the older buddies, helping the younger ones do their stick people, and they can also help the older ones when they're doing their huge, large stick people structures. So that's a beautiful way to work with each other. It builds communication. I mean, the possibilities are infinite when you put your imagination to work. So I hope I've inspired you to go outside and soak up that beauty and love that's out there in the natural world. Sorry I was unable to be there in person, but my heart and spirit's there with you all. And if you have any questions or you'd like to share anything with me, please do get in touch. And like I say, I've added some links to some workshops that you can do, and I hope you will have great joy doing them. Thank you once again.
It was a pleasure to listen to Marghanita Hughes. She sent to us lots of resources for you to explore. And if you think that the work she carries out and you would like to have a workshop here in Argentina when circumstances open and we can go back to face-to-face workshops, just let us know, because we would be delighted to invite her face-to-face. Some last minute news I would like to share with you. The Cambridge stand would like to remind you that on Monday the 18th, that's in a few days, they are carrying out their raffles. So don't forget to connect and see whether you are the lucky one. As regards the big quiz show, I've just been told that it has been moved from Auditorium 1 to Auditorium 3. So if you haven't registered yourself yet, you will be able to do so if you connect yourself to the auditorium. How will you do that? Go back to the program, to the homepage, click on where it says quiz show, and that would lead you straight forward to the Zoom room where the big quiz show will start. And now time to visit the exhibit halls and see you in 10 minutes to watch Rosanne's Bosch recording on Play to Learn, Designing for Uncertainty.